Hi, I'm going to make another homemade recipe, something that I use pretty much daily in my cooking, and that's homemade seasoned salt. Um, I have been asked why I make homemade seasoned salt, and I can only say I just don't like the chemical aftertaste of some of the additives that are in, like Lawry's. That was the brand I used to use for many, many years. That's what my grandma used, so of course that's what I use because I love her food. I love her food a lot. But I noticed that when I use Lawry's, I could tell that there was something metallic about it, and I didn't like that. So I looked into a DIY of Lawry's Seasoned Salt, and this is what I found. I buy all of my spices, well, most of them, from Penzeys. I like their quality of their products. They've always been great. I do not know where my turmeric came from because it was a gift. It was a big bag, and it's in this glass container. Because if you watch my last video, I really like glass containers for some reason. The paprika I use is the Hungarian half sharp. If you've never tried a different paprika than what's at your local grocery store, I highly suggest you find a spice store and you get small packages of each paprika. This is going to add a little kick to your salt or anything that you put it in. I also use this in homemade taco seasoning. Sorry, words are hard. I can do a video on that if you'd like. We go through a lot of taco seasoning, especially when Jordan's home. It's quick, it's easy, as well as this recipe for seasoned salt. But to have ground taco meat in the fridge allowed him to snack whenever he wanted to, and it didn't keep me a slave to the kitchen. But it still allowed me to make homemade food for him, which I absolutely love. Hungarian half sharp, again, is going to be a little bit different than your store-bought paprika. Most paprikas are just for color. They maybe give a mild flavor. Hera, stop, come here. This is going to add that mild flavor as well as some heat. So, don't use this on deviled eggs. I learned that lesson. Definitely get the plain kind. I have a couple items from Costco. Again, this is the granulated garlic, and this is cinnamon. As soon as these run out, which as you can see, they're very large containers, I will be using the Penzeys spices for this recipe. Then, it does use a little bit of an anti-caking agent. I am a fan. I think the recipes that you find on Pinterest or any other sort of blog or post that you follow recommend cornstarch. I'm not a fan of cornstarch. It is super spiking to your blood sugar. It's actually a medical intervention. If your blood sugar plummets really, really low, they can make a slurry out of cornstarch for you to spike your blood sugar back up. I'm not interested in doing that to anyone that I cook for. It's also highly refined, and I'm not a fan of that either. So arrowroot is actually just a tuber, and it's ground up and dehydrated. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, and it doesn't have the GI index of cornstarch. So that's why I use arrowroot. I make a pretty good sized container. I think this is, yeah, I don't know, maybe four ounce ball jar. And then I use the plastic lids. The regular liners fit into these lids very nicely. So when they are in the shelf, they just look a little bit better than the rings. You can use whatever you want. Plastic works fine, but again, I have a glass fetish, I guess. Shout out to Alyssa Solomon. I absolutely love these measuring utensils that I got at the ladies ministry banquet from you. I love them, and they're my favorite. Okay, so my recipe that I will post below is going to be a little bit smaller version, a scaled down version of what I'm going to do today. I use this a lot. I use seasoned salt on everything. I use it on vegetables. I use it on fish. I use it on meat. Steaks a lot. I love pan-seared brown butter seasoned salt steak. That's one of my favorites. But this recipe is going to be a quadruple batch because that's how much I make. Also, I'm lazy and I don't like to do dishes. Oh, you can't see these because of my my shirt is the same color. They're black. It leaves me 2 utensils to make. So, or not to make, but to wash. So I use the 1 tablespoon measuring spoon and the 1 teaspoon. So that also is just convenient because I'm lazy. All right. So the salt. This is the Penzi Spices Gray Sea Salt from France, and it's fine. And it says this salt does not supply iodide, a necessary nutrient. Okay, well, there's your little tidbit for today. No iodide. The normal batch is 2 tablespoons, so I'll put 8. As you can see, this is not exact. I mean, I'm sure that that's not an exact tablespoon. It's close enough. I don't really follow specific, detailed, exact measurements unless it's my food, and then I do weigh all of my food because of my diet. But when it comes to things like this, it's just a guesstimate. So I apologize if you're an exact measurer. Don't be upset with me. Again, the half sharp paprika is going to be different than your store-bought. Penzi's has a variety of spices. If you have one near you, I recommend going and just like browsing around, shopping around. They have an abundance. And it's really amazing to see the availability difference there versus what's in your store. And the quality is definitely worth the 1-hour drive that I make to go get these spices. Okay, turmeric. Again, I don't know where this came from. It looks like it came from maybe a specialty store, Laxmi brand. I don't know. I don't know. It was a gift. So it was a gift, and she put it in a glass jar for me, so it was awesome. That was 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Again, this is a quadruple batch for me, so the normal recipe is only going to be 1/4. Onion powder? No. Granulated white onion powder. Oops. And we have the garlic, a tablespoon and a teaspoon of it. My jar is getting really full. But that's okay, because we are at the end. The recipe really says a pinch of the cinnamon. I don't know how much a pinch is, so I just sort of put a little bit. Oh, it fell over. Well, it's that one right there. And then as far as the arrowroot goes, it says a 1/4 teaspoon of arrowroot. But again, I am limiting my exposure to foods that are high carb. Right now, I'm finding that cutting out high carb foods, especially grains, rice, flour, sugars, has greatly reduced my body inflammation, and it has helped my stomach. So I'm only using about a teaspoon in here. And then I mix it. So there we go. Homemade Lawrys Seasoned Salt. No chemical additives, nothing weird, nothing metallic, no strange anti-caking agents that we don't know what is going on, what it's doing in our bodies, and it tastes great.